another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Barbara, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the April 28th issue of the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. ECMC has appointed new president and CEO. The Erie County Medical Center Corporation's ECMC Board of Directors has appointed Andrew L. Davis, MBA, as president and CEO of ECMC via unanimous vote. Mr. Davis will succeed Tom as J. Quattroch Jr., Ph.D. Mr. Davis will formally take his position as ECMC's president and CEO on June 15th, 2026. Mr. Davis attended Troy University in Alabama, where he earned his BS and MBA accounting degrees. His career began in the early 1990s as a staff accountant, and he rose to senior auditor for a CPA firm in Pensacola, Florida, whose clients included healthcare facilities, nonprofit organizations that received federal funding, and assisted living facilities. Andrew Davis served 6 different healthcare facilities across many financial management capacities. Andrew Davis has more than 20 years of experience in healthcare administration, financial management, and quality care. Mr. Davis has a strong background in healthcare financial and operations management, as well as his knowledge of the complexity of managing hospitals in an ever-changing landscape, which has played a key role in ECMC's commitment to delivering the highest quality of care for the residents of Western New York. Mr. Davis joined ECMC in 2016 as Chief Operating Officer after having served in a variety of senior management positions in healthcare organizations in Florida, Massachusetts, North Carolina, and Washington, D.C. In 2025, Mr. Davis assumed the position of President and Chief Operating Officer at ECMC. Since moving to Buffalo, Mr. Davis has been instrumental in the continued development of new services for ECMC and Great Lakes Health. During this time, ECMC has achieved over $1 million in capital improvements on its 65-acre health campus. Andrew Davis, MBA, said, "I'm honored and humbled to be chosen by the ECMC Corporation Board of Directors to become President and CEO at ECMC. Every day, I see firsthand the tremendous commitment and compassion ECMC's caregivers provide to our patients, ensuring they receive high-quality health care services. I look forward to working closely with these remarkably talented caregivers, as well as my executive leadership colleagues and our board of directors, to maintain and build on the legacy of excellence that is the hallmark of ECMC." Mayor Ryan issues executive order declaring a 60-day demolition moratorium. Buffalo, New York, March 28th. Mayor Sean Ryan today issued an executive order establishing a 60-day moratorium of the issuance of certain demolition permits in the city of Buffalo, effective immediately and lasting until May 18th. During the moratorium, no new permits will be issued for the demolition of principal structures. However, the order includes clear and necessary exceptions to protect public safety and allow ongoing development activity to continue. Emergency demolitions will still be permitted when a building poses an immediate threat to life, health, or safety, is certified by city officials or ordered by housing court. The city will also continue to allow removal of accessory structures or interior elements in demolitions previously approved as part of a city planning board major site plan approval, typically associated with larger development projects. For decades, demolition has been the city's primary response to blight, often at significant cost to taxpayers and at the expense of our housing supply, Mayor Ryan said. At a time when we need more housing and construction costs are rising, that approach doesn't meet the moment. This demolition pause gives us the opportunity to take a more strategic look at our policies, ensure we're using the right tools to preserve housing where it makes sense, and align our approach with Buffalo's current and future needs. Over the past 5 years, the city of Buffalo has demolished more than 300 residential structures and multiple commercial buildings at a total cost of nearly $10 million. While property owners are legally responsible for these costs, the city has recovered only a fraction of the total amount, which has left taxpayers with the burden of paying for these demolitions. The loss of existing structures has contributed to a shrinking housing supply, increased pressure on rents, and long-term impacts on neighborhood stability and historic character. The neighborhoods throughout Buffalo provide some of the most comprehensive and intact historical fabric of our community and have the largest lasting effect on community history and character, said Gwen Howard, chairperson of the City of Buffalo Preservation Board. Carefully considering reducing demolitions of residential structures throughout Buffalo will stem neighborhood decay and provide greater opportunity for properties to change hands to home buyers that can invest with their sweat equity. Historic preservation tax credits are one simple tool to increase the sweat with real hard capital for simple, manageable projects that will have huge impacts across the city. The City of Buffalo Preservation Board is ready to work with property owners to maximize these financial resources and stabilize our neighborhoods. During the 60-day moratorium, the City of Buffalo's Office of Permit and Inspection Services, the DPIS, and the Office of Strategic Planning, OSP, will conduct a comprehensive review of existing demolition policies. This review will evaluate current permitting practices, cost recovery mechanisms, and opportunities to strengthen preservation tools within the existing framework. For far too long, we've treated demolition as the default, tearing buildings down without a second look, without a real review, and without asking what we're losing, said Bernice Rattle, Executive Director of Preservation Buffalo Niagara. A moratorium gives us the space to pause evaluate, and make smarter decisions. Preservation Buffalo Niagara is ready to help assess these buildings, identify opportunities, and ensure we're not demolishing assets that could anchor revitalization. Don't forget that occupied buildings pay property taxes, give us housing options we need, and support local jobs. Vacant lots do not. In addition, the City of Buffalo will develop a demolition diversion program aimed at prioritizing the stabilization of at-risk buildings rather than demolition. The program will focus on using legal tools such as receivership and abandonment to transfer control of distressed properties to responsible entities committed to making repairs. The city will also establish partnerships with non-profit housing organizations to pursue grant-funded improvements when property owners are unable or unwilling to make necessary fixes, and explore stronger enforcement strategies to prevent demolition by neglect and ensure compliance with maintenance obligations. The administration will further evaluate options to recover demolition-related costs, including the potential use of liens, tax enforcement mechanisms, and other remedies authorized under state law. City departments will immediately begin updating internal procedures and training staff to implement and enforce the executive order. Buffalo Sewer Authority to host open house for Breckenridge Sewer Project. Investment will replace 110-plus-year-old sewer pipes and reduce combined sewer overflows and remove lead service mains. Buffalo, New York. The Buffalo Sewer Authority, BSA, will host 3 information open houses for the Breckenridge St. Street Combined Sewer Overflow Control Project. The project will replace sewer pipes that are over 100 years old and well past their useful life, and mitigate 8 million gallons of combined sewer overflow flowing into the Black Rock Canal during storm events and improve water quality. A new lead-free water main will be installed on West Avenue as well, and any lead water services encountered will be replaced with copper service from the mains to the house. When the project is completed, the entire project area will be repaved. Any damaged trees will be replaced. We encourage the public to interact and collaborate with us as we continue to invest in our wastewater and water infrastructure systems that will deliver tangible public health and environmental benefits across the region, said Rosaline Nogel, Principal Sanitary Engineer near the Buffalo Sewer Authority. Construction work is anticipated to start this spring. During construction, residents expect to see construction equipment on the road and varying traffic patterns in place, including partial or full road closures, sidewalk closures, limited street parking, possible detours. The project is a component of the Queen City Clean Waters Initiative, a 15-year undertaking that will include infrastructure enhancements across the city, including ongoing upgrades at the Bird Island Wastewater Treatment Facility, which will total over $250 million. The planned projects will reduce combined sewer overflows to western New York waterways, including the Niagara River, Skagwada Creek, Erie Basin Marina, Black Rock Canal, Cazenovia Creek, and the Buffalo River, improving water quality for the people of the city of Buffalo, visitors, and downstream communities. Residents and businesses can contact the Buffalo Sewer Authority at rnogle@buffalosewerauthority.org or at 716-851-4664, extension 4203, if they have any questions. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Honoring of the new convent church pastor. The New Covenant Church family honored their pastor and First Lady, Elder Reginald and Martha Burt, with a second anniversary celebration. The special speaker was Elder Jason Drayton, pastor of First Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. Comptroller Miller Williams raises serious concerns on deficit bonding, calling for a collaborative fiscal strategy. Buffalo, New York. City of Buffalo Comptroller Barbara Miller Williams has issued her response to the administration's consideration of using deficit bonding as part of its strategy to address the City of Buffalo's current and projected budget gaps. Comptroller Miller Williams identified several key concerns associated with deficit bonding, including the total cost of borrowing over time, the potential impact on the city's credit profile, and the long-term implications for Buffalo's financial outlook. It also raises the question as to whether borrowing through the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority, the BFSA, would provide more favorable terms than borrowing as an independent municipality. Under the current proposal, the BFSA's involvement in city finances could extend to the year 2070, well beyond its current authorization, which is set to expire on June 30th, 2037. The city currently budgets approximately $1 million annually to support BFSA operations, a figure that could increase if its responsibilities expand. Furthermore, additional or new borrowing will increase the city's annual debt payment, already totaling approximately $33 million for fiscal year 2025-2026. Determining if future revenue growth will be sufficient to sustain a potential increase of required debt payments, which come from property tax dollars, without placing additional strain on citizens and taxpayers, is of the utmost importance. Comptroller Miller Williams acknowledges the seriousness of the city's fiscal challenges and concerns about the use of deficit bonding to cover potential shortfalls. The city of Buffalo continues to face serious fiscal challenges that require thoughtful and sustainable solutions, stated Comptroller Miller Williams. While it is undeniable that the city of Buffalo is facing a critical deficit, any decisions and conversations regarding these fiscal challenges warrant collaboration with all city elected officials. It is crucial to recognize our responsibility as leaders to ensure that the citizens and taxpayers have a voice and remain informed of decisions impacting their city. The Department of Audit and Control remains committed to monitoring the city's financial performance and providing updates to the administration, the Buffalo Common Council, and the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority, and the citizens and taxpayers of Buffalo. Baskin Steer calling for Fresh Communities Act to be included in final state budget. Senate One House proposal includes $10 million to expand grocery stores in underserved areas, increasing fresh food access. Senator April N.M. Baskin and Assemblymember Al Stierpe were joined Tuesday by lawmakers, advocates, and stakeholders from across New York to call for the Fresh Communities Act to be included in the final state budget. The legislation, formerly known as the Food Retail Establishment Subsidization for Healthy Communities Act, has already been included in the Senate's One House budget proposals, along with $10 million to implement the Grants and Loan Assistance Program. Supporters are now urging state leaders to carry the measure across the finish line as budget negotiations continue. The Fresh Communities Act would provide loans, loan guarantees, interest subsidies, and grants to businesses, municipalities, nonprofit organizations, and local development corporations to help retain, expand, or establish grocery stores in underserved areas. By supporting store expansion and new locations, the program aims to improve access to healthy food in both urban and rural areas, while also driving job creation and supporting New York's agricultural economy. Senator Baskin said, "Getting the Fresh Communities Act into the Senate One House budget was a major step forward, but we cannot stop there." In the wake of the May 14, 2022 mass shooting at Tops Friendly Markets in Buffalo, we saw the devastating impact of a community having limited grocery access. Every community deserves a grocery store, and we need more small businesses leading that charge, not multi-billion-dollar chains. The Fresh Communities Act will help ensure no neighborhood is ever left without access to fresh food, while also creating jobs and strengthening local businesses. Now is the time to get this across the finish line in the final state budget. Assemblymember Stierpe said, "To fight the growing number of food deserts, we must support a comprehensive food system that reaches every corner of the state. In the short run, the Fresh Communities Act will benefit residents and farmers alike by connecting neighborhoods most in need of fresh groceries with local producers and New York-grown products. In the long run, this legislation will improve public health outcomes, reduce energy expenditures, and create better connected communities across the state. No one should have to travel long distances to obtain fresh food and support their family, which is why I urge my Assembly colleagues to support the Fresh Communities Act and ensure its passage in this year's final state budget. Across the country, the lack of supermarkets offering fresh food choices and the increasing number of food deserts have become a growing concern, especially in low to moderate income communities. The Fresh Communities Act, unlike other food access programs, which tend to focus on helping consumers purchase food, focuses on the supply side. It helps the stores themselves grow. It will create new grocery stores, expand fresh food offerings, and build long-term food infrastructure in the communities that are most in need. Eligible stores would be required to participate in New York's Grown and Certified program, accept SNAP benefits, and hire employees who live within a 20-mile radius, ensuring that investments directly benefit the local community and regional farmers. Advocates emphasized that expanding access to fresh food can improve public health outcomes, reduce the need for long-distance travel to grocery stores, and create new markets for New York farmers, growers, and food producers. Veteran urologist Dr. Willie Underwood named AMA President-elect. Willie Underwood III, MD, MSc, MPH, is a board-certified urologist with more than 25 years of urology surgery experience, including more than 15 years focused on robotic urology surgery. He was voted president-elect of the American Medical Association in June 2025. An expert in healthcare disparities and healthcare policy, Dr. Underwood was first elected to the AMA Board of Trustees in June of 2019, and later as its chair in June of 2023. He is a TEDx speaker and active presenter whose appearances include grand rounds, webinars, and TV and radio interviews. He has served on several national and regional healthcare policy committees, including as a board member of Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western and Northeastern New York, and the Board of Commissioners of the Joint Commission. He has also served as a board member and medical advisor to the Love Canal Medical Fund, Inc., as a past president of the Erie County Medical Society of New York, as a member of the AMA and National Medical Association Commission to End Healthcare Disparities, and as a member of the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education Urology Residency Review Committee. Dr. Underwood has also chaired the AMA Council on Legislation, the Erie County Medical Society Legislative Affairs Committee, and the Medical Society of the State of New York Quality Improvement and Patient Safety Committee. Raised in Gary, Indiana, Dr. Underwood earned his Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Morehouse College and his Doctor of Medicine and Master of Science in Anatomy and Cellular Biology degrees from the State University of New York, Upstate Medical University, Syracuse, New York. He received his general surgery and urologic surgery training at the University of Connecticut Health Center in Farmington, Connecticut. After his residency, he became the fifth urologist admitted into the prestigious Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Clinical Scholars Program, which he completed in 2002 at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. While in Ann Arbor, he also earned a Master's of Public Health degree in Health Management and Policy from University of Michigan School of Public Health in 2004. In addition to co-authoring more than 120 peer-reviewed publications, book chapters, and published abstracts, he has received millions in research funding from the National Institute of Health and holds patents in the U.S. and Japan for co-developing a biomarker for prostate cancer. He is the co-founder of CAPS Biotechnology LLC, which is currently conducting a larger validation study of its new and novel prostate cancer biomarker. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Workforce Buffalo drives economic growth with free hiring and training programs for local businesses. Workforce Buffalo program helps Buffalo and Erie County businesses through Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Acts Fund by cutting hiring costs and building skilled talent pipelines. Workforce Buffalo is driving economic growth in Buffalo and Erie County by offering a range of free business services designed to help employers hire, train, and retrain a skilled workforce. Through its Business Services Department, Workforce Buffalo provides innovative, cost-saving programs that connect businesses with talent while offsetting training expenses. One of the flagship offerings is the On-the-Job Training OJT program, which reimburses employers 50% of a new hire's wages up to $10,000 per employee during the training period. This program allows businesses to onboard individuals who possess fundamental skills and develop them further. Employers may receive up to $30,000 per fiscal year through the OJT program. For companies looking to upskill their current workforce, the customized training program offers reimbursement of 50% of employee training costs, with funding available up to $30,000 per fiscal year per employer. The program is tailored to meet specific business needs, ensuring employees gain relevant, job-specific skills that enhance productivity, retention, and help businesses to be more competitive with highly skilled workers. In addition, Workforce Buffalo's Career Pathways programming connects employers to a pipeline of occupationally trained talent. These occupational training programs are designed in collaboration with local training providers and businesses to address workforce skill gaps in high-demand fields. Participants will gain industry-focused skills and an opportunity to be placed into career track positions upon completion. All services are free to Buffalo and Erie County businesses. Businesses interested in learning more about available services are encouraged to visit our website at workforcebuffalo.org/business services or contact the business services team at bmorgan@wdcinc.org or 716-819 9845, extension 1140. All services, programming, and opportunities are subject to funding availability and eligibility requirements. Minnesota City Council urges Walls to pause evictions during ICE invasion. Minneapolis City Council urges eviction moratorium amid ICE raids. The Minneapolis City Council unanimously approved a resolution urging Governor Tim Walz to impose a temporary eviction moratorium as ongoing ICE raids displaced residents, shutter businesses, and destabilize housing across Minnesota. All members of the Minneapolis City Council passed a resolution calling on Governor Tim Walz to impose an eviction moratorium during ongoing immigration and customs enforcement ICE raids that have shuttered businesses, closed schools, and strained city budgets. The resolution, sponsored by Ward 2 Council member Robin Wolseley, urges Walz to issue an executive order that would prevent evictions for the duration of the federal immigration enforcement operations. ICE is creating a statewide crisis that requires our governor to step up and step in and ensure that nobody is evicted without an eviction moratorium, Wolseley said. Thousands of vulnerable families and residents are facing eviction as soon as February 1st. Wolseley also criticized Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry and Governor Walz for deploying police and National Guard, respectively, to respond to protesters and immigrant communities. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry have been very clear that they are unable or unwilling to use law enforcement to protect residents at this time. Council member Jamal Osman emphasized that only the governor can issue an eviction moratorium. That's why we need leadership that stands with families, not leadership that leaves them on their own, Osman said. Council member Jason Shavaz praised community members assisting immigrants during the raids. These are heroes that are literally in our communities, and they're doing it because they love immigrants, he said. So while the federal government wants to demonize immigrant communities, folks in Minneapolis are saying, we love our neighbors. Chavez highlighted the fear facing residents. The sad reality is that we do not know when this occupation in Minneapolis and in the state is going to end. Our neighbors are actually not sheltering in place because they're scared of being evicted from their rental units. Dex Anderson, a disability advocate and Ward 10 resident, criticized Council member Linnea Palmisano for leaving during public comment. Congress must pass permanent protections for Haitian communities. What Congress did for Liberians, it must do for Haitians. Washington, D.C. Today, Black Alliance for Just Immigration participated in a press conference hosted by Ayanna Pressley in Washington, D.C. to denounce the Trump administration's decision to terminate temporary protected status, TPS, for more than 350,000 Haitians living in the United States. While today's press conference underscored the urgency of extending TPS, Black Alliance for Justice Immigration is clear. Temporary solutions are not enough. Congress must pass legislation that provides Haitians with permanent immigration protection, modeled after the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. The termination of TPS is an act of policy violence. It places Haitian families, many of whom have lived in the United States for over 15 years, at risk of deportation to a country facing extreme violence, political instability, and a full-scale humanitarian crisis. In Massachusetts alone, more than 15,000 Haitian TPS holders are now living with fear and uncertainty about their futures. These are parents, workers, caregivers, and faith leaders. They have raised families, started businesses, and contributed deeply to their communities. Many work in essential sectors such as healthcare and elder care. Ending TPS threatens not only Haitian families, but the stability of the communities and the systems that rely on them. A proven solution: the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. Congress has already demonstrated that permanent solutions are possible. The 2019 Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act allowed long-term Liberian residents in the U.S. to apply for lawful permanent residency after years of living here under temporary protections. The LRIF recognized a basic truth: people who have built their lives here and cannot safely return home deserve stability and dignity. A Haitian version of the LRIF would provide a pathway to green cards for long-term Haitian residents, keep families together, and prevent mass deportations, protect workers in critical industries like healthcare and elder care, reflect the reality of that Haiti is not safe for return. This is the kind of permanent, humane solution Haitian communities need and deserve. Standing with Haitian communities. BAGI strongly supports Representative Presley's introduction of a discharge petition to force a House vote on extending TPS for Haiti, as well as litigation seeking to block the termination of TPS. We also applaud the recent field hearing in Boston held with Representative Ed Markey, which centered the voices of Haitian families most directly impacted by these harmful policies. But extensions alone are not enough. Congress must act now to pass a Haitian LRIF-style bill that provides permanent protection and real security. Haitian lives are not expendable. Their families, labor, and contributions matter. BAGI will continue to fight in Congress, in the courts, and in the community until Haitian families are protected and justice is delivered. BAGI fights for the rights of Black migrants and African Americans through organizing, legal advocacy, research, policy, and narrative building to improve the conditions of Black communities by advancing racial justice and migrant rights. Former Rikers detainee sues city, says correction officers sexually assaulted him. New York, Amsterdam News. A Black man filed a civil rights lawsuit in December of 2025 accusing Department of Correction DOC officers of sodomizing him in 2024 during his pretrial detention. Court documents in the lawsuit filed on behalf of Kyle Knight, 29, named 2 DOC officers who allegedly participated in forcing inserting a finger in his rectum during a retaliatory strip search after one accused guard struck and pepper sprayed him. The filing also alleges the defendants exposed Knight in front of the entire housing unit with just a sheet over him, while also blowing kisses at him and commenting on his genitals. A third DOC staff member, the supervising captain, is also named as a defendant in the lawsuit. The filing alleges that this individual probably did not report the incident because he learned about it afterward. Knight also reported the incident through 311 and through the DOC's confidential hotline established by the Federal Prison Rape Elimination Act. The officers at Rikers are supposed to protect us, not hurt or humiliate us, said Knight in a statement. They had no right to sexually violate me. I want to hold them and the Department of Correction accountable for what they did so that it doesn't happen again. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Knight has enlisted the Emery, Seeley, Brinkerhoff, Abdi, Ward, and Maisel law firm to represent him in suing the city. One of his attorneys, Deborah Greenberger, said the discovery process will shed more light on how the DOC addressed the incident, including whether and how the department conducted a mandated PREA investigation after Knight called the hotline. The defendants will also have to testify under oath about the incident's details. The lawyers believe the officers contradicted themselves when they separately reported use of force after the encounter. They both accuse Knight of refusing to surrender and attempting to dispose of an unknown item. But one officer mentions a second object. Disciplinary measures against Knight over those claims were later dismissed. The hearing officers said that there was no evidence that Kyle was doing the bad things that they said he did, which is pretty notable because that's not a forum where there's full due process and lawyer, said Greenberger. For that complaint to be dismissed speaks to how baseless the officers' claims were about the accusations they made against Kyle. The discovery process could force the city to present a recording made by another corrections officer with a handheld camera showing some or all of the alleged sexual assault. The footage is currently missing despite Freedom of Information law requests by Knight's lawyers, but they believe it exists since other recordings from stationary jail cameras show the DOC staff member taping the encounter. For Greenberger, substandard documentation of Knight's incident draws from broader oversight concerns. She separately co-represents plaintiffs for the Nunes class action, arguably the most crucial lawsuit about excessive and unnecessary force in New York City jails, which led to a settlement agreement mandating a body-worn camera pilot in DOC facilities. The litigation also brought in a court-appointed monitor whose reports addressed proper use of chemical agents like pepper spray. The city fell short of meeting court-ordered reforms from Nunes for nearly a decade, leading to a federal judge greenlighting a receivership-like takeover of DOC jails by a court-appointed third-party remediation manager, last year. The reason that we've been pushing for a remediation manager is that there is an ongoing culture of the officers not following the rules, said Greenberger. There's just humanitarian crisis after humanitarian crisis, and the point of a receiver or a remediation manager is to have a place where people in custody and officers feel safe walking into the individual buildings and walking onto the island. If we had a culture of safety, that would stop not just the pepper spraying, but would also go a long way towards alleviating the sexual assaults that this case is about. The DOC declined to comment, citing pending litigation. Bombs before dawn. Trump's illegal war on Venezuela spikes national outrage. The bombs came before dawn while the country slept and Congress was cut out of the conversation. Early Saturday morning, the United States launched military strikes on Venezuela, killing civilians in and around Caracas, seizing President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, flying them out of the country, according to Venezuelan officials. By midday, Washington was already talking about indictments, oil, and who would rule next. This article is from January 4th. By 1 p.m., the streets in front of the White House were filled with people who called it exactly what it was, an illegal war. All out to the White House, stop bombing Venezuela, organized by the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the Answer Coalition, was not a symbolic protest. It was an emergency response to what organizers described as piracy, murder in international waters, and an open grab for Venezuelan oil. This is not about drug trafficking or democracy, organizers said. This is about stealing Venezuela's oil and dominating Latin America. The White House did little to contradict them. Asked who would lead Venezuela after the U.S. seized its president, Donald Trump told Fox News, "Well, we're going to have to look at that right now." He also said he expects the United States to get very strongly involved in Venezuela's oil industry. The administration later announced that Maduro had been charged with narco-terrorism and would face the full wrath of American justice on American soil, Attorney General Pam Bondi said. Venezuela's Attorney General said innocent civilians were killed when U.S. strikes hit multiple facilities in Caracas and surrounding areas. There was no vote in Congress, no declaration of war, no evidence presented of an imminent threat. U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen said the American people did not ask for this act of war to bring about regime change in Venezuela, nor did Congress authorize it. He said Trump has put our troops in harm's way and has not provided a clear, fact-based rationale for these actions, nor the long-term strategy following these strikes. This act of war is a grave abuse of power by the president, Van Hollen said. The Trump administration is repeating the worst mistakes of our past and endangering American lives, and their motive for doing so is a farce. Van Hollen pointed to Trump's recent pardon of former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, a convicted drug trafficker, saying the Venezuelan attack had nothing to do with combating narcotics. Maduro is a dictator, he said, but his regime did not pose the immediate threat necessary to warrant U.S. military action on foreign soil without congressional approval. This is not about demolishing a dictatorship, Van Hollen said. This is about trying to grab Venezuela's oil for Trump's billionaire buddies. Representative Rashida Tlaib said believing Venezuela deserves democracy does not give the United States permission to overthrow a sovereign government. You don't get to oppose imperial overreach in theory and cheer it in practice when your guy is the one pulling the trigger. She said the U.S. does not get to break international law, ignore Congress, and police the world. Representative Jasmine Crockett called the bombing and kidnapping grave violations of international law and the U.S. Constitution, saying these are the actions of a rogue state. The American people do not want another regime change war abroad. Keith Olbermann said Trump has now endangered every man, woman, and child in this nation by his insane and illegal personal war against Venezuela, adding that the president must be impeached and removed from office immediately. Actor Wendell Pierce said Trump promised no new stupid wars, yet launched one without congressional approval. People can't afford groceries and millions are losing health care, Pierce said. This is unconstitutional and not what the American people asked for. Former Ohio Governor John Kasich wrote that 1:50 a.m. January 3rd, 2026, the American military begins an unprovoked attack on the sovereign nation of Venezuela, calling it a violation of international law and criminal, and asking, "Make America great again?" ? Political commentators also cut through the administration's claims. Venezuela produces less than 1% of the world's illegal drugs, but holds the largest proven oil reserves on the planet. Project 2025 outlines U.S. interference in Venezuela's government in multiple sections. Trump said months before the 2024 election that he wanted Venezuela to collapse so that the United States could take its oil. U.S. Southern Command Chief General Laura Richardson recently said Washington's focus in Latin America is not democracy, but control of oil, lithium, gold, and rare earth minerals. Gaza has gas. Sudan has gold. Ukraine has titanium. Congo has cobalt. Venezuela has oil. Polls show that more than 70% of Americans oppose an attack on Venezuela. Organizers said this war would bring death abroad and drain tax dollars at home while working families struggle to survive. Neither Americans nor Venezuelans should die to enrich the executives at ExxonMobil and Lockheed Martin, organizers said. At the White House gates, the chants continued to rise and stay. Stop the bombing now. Hands off Venezuela. No blood for oil. As Van Hollen warned, Congress must not abdicate its constitutional authority and allow control of the world's most powerful military to fall into just one set of hands. You have been listening to a reading and articles of features from the April 28th issue of the Buffalo Criterion. We read from the Buffalo Criterion every Friday at 7 p.m. Your reader has been Barbara. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the New York Times. At 9 o'clock, we have Discover Magazine, and at 10 o'clock, in place of our usual book reading, we have the Polish American Journal. Stay with us for these readings and more. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716 821 5555.
Hello, this is Mark Ryer. For the next hour, I'll be reading from the April 30th issue